My poor dear boy. He was so passionate about life and about so many beautiful things. Why did his life have to end? Why did he have to suffer so much? Why was that brutal video put on the internet? What a disaster and huge pain for our family. My lovely boy, so alive and killed in that way.
Accused of a heinous crime, he was brought home under tight police escort. Luca Magnotta wasn't off the plane.
Mr. Lin, the police have arrested somebody they believe killed your son, Luca Magnotta. Why was your son in his apartment? You must have asked yourself that question. What was he doing in Luca Magnotta's apartment? Were they friends? Did they have a relationship? Why was he there that night?
We believe Magnotta exploited my son's kindness, pretending he needed his help. My son has a pure heart, never thinks twice about other people's motives. He believed so strongly that Canada is a safe country, he would never doubt anyone. I don't believe he had a relationship with the killer. I'm confident to assure you on that. If you don't believe me, let's just wait to see what the killer has to say during the trial. I firmly believe my son had nothing to do with his murderer.
But do you believe in Canadian justice? Do you believe there will be justice for your son?
I hope so. But if you ask me if I believe it, this is so hard to say. Whether I believe it or not, I can only wish for it. Wish for it.
After we came here, we have seen the kindness from the Canadian government. We received so much sympathy from many people. We are deeply touched by all the support and help. We still believe that most people here are very kind, but this heinous crime happened in Canada. It made me reconsider what kind of place this is. Sometimes when I walk on the street, looking at people, I feel like everyone looks like Magnotta. I have so much fear.
The city of Montreal has offered to bury your son here, free burial for your son here, if that's what you'd like. What do you want? Will your son be buried here in this city of his dreams, or will you take him back home to China?
Originally, we were thinking, since our son loved it here so much, if this is where he wanted to be, we must let him be buried here. But now, we're facing so much pressure back home. All our relatives and extended families keep pressuring us to bring our son back to China. We Chinese have an old saying, fallen leaves must go back to the root of the tree. We're caught in the middle and really don't know what to do.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Well, I would say thank you for finding your strength and your courage to talk to us. And I'm sorry for your loss, and I hope you find some peace.
That was just 12 minutes of Mark's interview with Jun Lin's parents. Mark, I'm going to guess you, in fact, spent a lot more time than that with them.
That's right, Paul. We spent close to 2 hours talking. And that was sort of the paradox of the interview, is that it pained her, as you can see from that, to talk about her son, and yet she couldn't stop talking. And she at one point, in fact, apologized to me, saying, you asked me about my son, I could speak about him all day. And we certainly spent a lot of time talking about their memories and their pain.
Well, let's talk more about that, what they're going through, what the future holds for them after a break. We will indeed have more on Mark's interview with Jun Lin's family when we come back. back with Mark Kelley to talk about that heart-wrenching interview with Jun Lin's parents. I want to ask you about the parents, but I want to know, I mean, how did this interview come about?
Yeah, and I want to give credit where credit is due, because it was our associate producer, Sharon Wu, here at the National. Born and raised in the same town as the Lin family, went to the same university as Jun Lin in China. She was the one who reached out in a letter to the family weeks ago requesting an interview. Never heard back from him until just the other day when the phone rang. And it was through an intervener, the mother saying she was ready to talk, met with Sharon, and Sharon talked to her about, she wanted to convey the message to Sharon that she wanted to be able to paint a full portrait of their son and also say thank you to Canadians for all the support that they'd given the family. So that led to that interview.
I mean, I think a lot of people might be wondering, like, why would someone want to talk publicly like that? It's a horrible thing that they've been going through, that they are still going through.
Well, I think one of their problems too, Paul, here is that they felt that there was an incomplete portrait of their son. He was constantly portrayed in the media only as a victim. We never talked about his dreams, they never talked about his hopes, and they never talked about how important he was to the entire family. And I mean, she said to me at one point, he was the hope of the entire extended family back in China. When he came to Canada, she mentioned now celebrating this as being great and the great promise of what his future would be in this wonderful country of bounty being Canada. And just setting up that pain to say that all those hopes and dreams had been reduced to that urn, which was full of his ashes.
You know, I mean, you got to. I know it was 2 months ago, and anybody is still going to be obviously in mourning. But they looked stunned. They looked like they are in absolute shock still.
Yeah, and as I sat down with them, I mean, obviously sensitive to that fact and tried to start slowly with my questions. And it was about 3 minutes into the interview when the grief just came galloping in, and it was overwhelming, and I, you know, very cultural expression, because she didn't stop, she didn't apologize, she just spoke, she fought through her tears to tell her son's story. All the way, she said, she really just wanted to honor the memory of her son. And it was that pain, and then as a parent, you just feel it. And yet it was so important for them to do this, to be able to say this. They said they wanted to speak to Canadians once. We were privileged to be able to be part of that interview, but I think for them it was very cathartic. They needed to tell their story.
What do they do now? I mean, and I also wonder, is the Chinese community, they're in Montreal, is the Chinese community there helping them out with what they're going to do?
The Chinese community is helping them out. They've been in a hotel. In fact, they have to check out of that hotel tomorrow. However, people have reached out to them and offered them an apartment because they want to stay for the trial, but the trial may not be until many, many months from now. It's definitely going to begin next year at some point, but we're not exactly sure when, and yet they want to be there because they're searching for the answers that they haven't found. Why was he in that apartment? They don't know. They want to know that, and I think to get some sort of closure out of this.
Thanks, Mark.
Thanks, Paul.